on Monday morning, an entire weekend with no Aaron Rodgers news. He talked to Brandon Marshall for 5 seconds. You got nothing out of that. I cannot believe I am sitting here right now at 6 o'clock with a no Aaron Rodgers answer, which makes Jet fans freak out even more. And it has to happen before noon today. It has to, because people will say that free agency starts Wednesday. Well, that's when it officially starts, but the free agent tampering period starts today at noon, where you're going to see players flying around all over the place with contracts. And if the Jets don't know if Aaron Rodgers is coming by today at noon, that's a big problem for the Jets. We've got some NCAA tournament. Rangers got 5 out of 6 points on the road trip. The Knicks won a big one that they needed last night. We will get to all of it. Huge trade in the NFL, too, after we got off the air on Friday. We got a jam-packed Monday. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yo, good morning, G. A couple things. Number one, the Knicks needed that win yesterday, and Julius Randle needed that win yesterday, and he did bounce back. I mean, a guy who's try to curtail his technical foul problems and his emotions on the court this year, and we all have lauded him for that. He snapped on Saturday.
He did.
Completely snapped, and I mean it was ugly, and it kind of does show you, and I think we all know, everybody knows this, that this is Jalen Brunson's team, and when he's out there running it, everybody acts as if the way they're supposed to act, and I know Julius was that game was rough. That game was like a hockey game. I mean, there were fouls all over the place, and I probably would be upset as well. I mean, he's into the game. There's no question about that. But yesterday proved that he's able to put that performance and those actions behind him and then come out and lead his team to victory without Jalen Brunson yet again. Yeah. So that was a huge win for the Knicks yesterday. As you said, the Rangers won 5 out of the 6 on a 3-game road trip. They still just don't look right. They still are trying to figure it out. Gerard Gallant is changing all the lines. Washington comes in and beats the Islanders. The Penguins are a pain in the ass. The Capitals are a pain in the ass. The Devils beat the Hurricanes last night. That is a huge win for them. I mean, there's a million things going on. And the biggest screw job, I wouldn't say in NCAA tournament basketball history, took place on Sunday, when Rutgers didn't make it in to the tournament, which is shocking to all of us. That's right. And you know what? Seth Davis said it yesterday, and I believe it too. I saw those kids up close and personal way back when in December. And then when they trounced my University of Maryland Terrapins, who did make it and who will be playing West Virginia, and if they win that game, you know who they got next? Most likely Alabama, because they're the number 1 seed waiting to play in. Look at this.
We're going to be big Terps fans at that point.
I mean, come on, man. But we always get screwed. But normally what happens at the University of Maryland, we get sent out west. We have to go play like in Provo or somewhere. You know what I mean? But at least we're only going to Birmingham, right in the backyard of Alabama. And I don't know if you've seen some of the controversy around Alabama and some of the Alabama fans and what they're wearing, these T-shirts.
Yes, right. Yeah, the one guy that was in the stands, it was like, we killed the conference or something like that.
We're murdering our way all the way to the national championship.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yep, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, so there's still a lot of controversy around that team, but, that team is really good. But I feel bad for Rutgers. I really felt like they were going to make it. You look at their resume. I know you feel like they lost to Nebraska and they lost to Minnesota, and that was probably the reason why they didn't make it. But at the end of the day, the Big Ten is a beast.
Sure.
You come out of there and you're right there in the log jam with everybody else. Almost everybody in the league, with the exception of 3 teams, have the same record.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I could break down every first 4 in, first 4 out, but every expert that I read going into this thing, there was only one, and I probably looked at 10. There was one of them that did not have Rutgers in. The rest of them either had them in or had them in the play-in games. And as you mentioned it, Seth Davis right away, once the bracket was out, goes, I had Rutgers in this field. So it's frustrating for Rutgers. They should have been in there. Obviously, back in 2020 when they made the tournament, the whole thing got canceled. So, now they're going to be a 1 seed in the NIT, and they're going to have to it's an opportunity for them. This is some pride situation, but they should have been in for sure. But that Minnesota loss with blowing a 10-point lead with a minute and a half to go on a last-second shot, that probably did it for him.
I know. But I always wait for Seth to give his points of view, because nobody eats, sleeps, and drinks college basketball more than Seth Davis. Yeah. Every time I see him, it's like, this is what's going on here, this is what's going on there. And the moment I heard him say that it was surprising to him that Rutgers didn't make it, that's all I need to hear.
Sure.
Because I just, it's a shame, because I feel bad for Jerry. Now, the interesting thing It's during the NIT. And who are they hosting?
Hofstra.
Are you going to go to the game on Tuesday?
I mean, it's at the Rack.
You got to go, man.
Hofstra, man, oh man, down at the Rack, 7 o'clock. That's going to be tough.
It's late, I know, but you got to go. You got to. You know what? And Marco Battaglia and Jerry and everybody, take one of your flunkies with you.
Oh, my
and
goodness.
you'll have a great time. I'm telling you. I know it's going to be really disappointing, for both teams, because I think both teams felt like they had a really good shot. And of course, Hofstra loses, but and you have to win that conference in order to get in. But man, it's still a local matchup, which gives a little bit of juice to it and a little bit of excitement to it. Have you ever been to the Rack?
I have not been to the Rack.
Yeah,
no.
I don't know how the fans will be for this game. I mean, maybe they won't be as intense as they would be for a Big Ten game. But I believe Steve Peichel and his team deserve the support from the fans. I'm sure they'll come out and support it. But the fact that it's a local, and they could lose the Hofstra. Speedy Claxton's got those kids playing.
No, absolutely, and the fact that they've got the experience and Aaron Estrada at the point guard, who's been there for a very long time and is a great scorer. That's always dangerous in tournament situations. But I mean, Rutgers obviously is a heavy favorite in this spot.
Yeah,
but you never know.
I swear you got to go. I feel like you got to go. I got to feel like I got to make that happen. I feel like
goodness.
you, as Mr. Rutger, Mr. Hofstra, you got to go.
Well, I mean, I did coach a game this year, and I did coach them to victory.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. I'm not going to rule it out. I'll talk to Jerry about logistics.
Yes.
How about that?
All right.
And then we will see.
All right. So let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
So we're going to stay in college basketball just for a second.
Okay.
Rick Pitino, Iona, great. They're in the tournament, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's great. And,
playing UConn, right?
All right. Yeah. So do you want? You're a St. John's guy. You love St. John's. You and BT love St. John's. I'm sure you would love to have Rick Pitino.
100%. And I understand the checkered past. Trust me, I am not putting that aside and saying that it didn't happen and there's a lot of things in his closet, whatever. But St. John's is at this critical point in their history.
Let me ask you a question.
What?
All right, checkered past in history, whatever. Okay, but he's coaching for a college basketball team.
He is.
Right,
exactly.
So if he's coaching for Iona and he's won the way he has won the last 2 years there, and, according to him, it's all about having a chance to win. Now, I don't know what exactly that means in regards to St. John's.
Well, as we've seen, any team can really make a run in the NCAA tournament. Are you going to be like a 1 seed, like a North Carolina in a good year, a Duke in a good year, a Kansas? I mean, probably not. But a winning in New York with St. John's would be just tremendous if he turned that program around. If they ended up, like, the ceiling for them could be, something like a 4 or 5 seed in the tournament and then wreaking some havoc. I mean, that would be awesome, and that would mean that the program was back. They need him. They desperately need him, and they're finally willing to pay somebody the big money to get them in because they're tired of being stomped over all the time.
And he knows the president very well there because wasn't the president at Providence before this?
I believe so, yes.
Right, so they know each other very well. Now, I know Texas Tech is going to come after him hot and heavy.
Well, everybody. I think Georgetown was involved, too.
I think Georgetown as well. I mean, I don't know. I hate to do this to the kids at Iona, but because they've had such a great 2-year run here. Yeah. And I gotta say, like, just the simple nature of just winning, regardless if it's Division I, which Iona is, of course, or a major team. I think winning is the key thing, right? And when he says that, is he sending a message to these teams like, what does he think it takes to win?
Yeah, well, support.
Alumni support.
Financially.
Yeah, not just his contract.
Right.
It's everything else around his contract.
Well, listen, I talked to Chris Mullen at length after his tenure ended, and and he loved it there, and he didn't say a bad word. But one of the things that he talked about was the support in the facilities, and sometimes they needed a little bit more there, and he found himself like fixing some of the stuff, like he'd go in there with his own toolbox and like fix something in the bathroom, and he's like, "What's going on here? A little more support here financially."
You got a Hall of Fame basketball player, right? A Hall of Fame basketball player who's kind of doing that for his alma mater.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of makes you feel pretty good about that. Right? Sure. It makes me feel pretty good about it. It's like a pretty cool story.
It is a cool story, but his point was, I think, that, if you want to be a big boy, you got to act like it throughout the entire program.
So, just the other part of this whole thing is to, stars that come out of these colleges don't always make great coaches, as Patrick Ewing showed at Georgetown. I would think out of all these teams that have money, at all these colleges that have money, you got to believe that Georgetown has got a ton of do-re-mi just sitting there waiting to write somebody a big check and also, support them off the court to be able to recruit.
Yeah, but do they, like if a Texas Tech wanted to get involved with Rick Pitino, nobody can compete with that. Like Georgetown St. John's can't compete with that.
But does Rick Pitino really want to go to Texas Tech? He's got a house right here on Wingfoot.
Right. No,
Come
I know.
on. I mean, I would love to take you up there one day.
Wingfoot?
Yes. And you got to see the setup.
And he's got a house right there?
Yeah, but it's not a mansion or anything. It's a really beautiful, kind of just a really nice house. And it sits right on, I think it's either the third or fourth hole, I think.
Yeah.
And it is the par four. I forget which number it is, but it's just really it's tasteful. You know what I mean? It's just perfect. It's like your house in Sayville.
A little tasteful.
It's
right,
very
exactly.
tasteful, very nice.
Fits into the neighborhood.
It's not ostentatious.
Right.
It's just if you were going to live on Wingfoot, this is the house.
That's the house. Yeah, I mean, for him.
Location.
Yeah. At this point, do you think that it's all about the money for Rick Pitino? Because if it's not, winning at St. John's should be the draw. But if Texas Tech throws, I don't know, $5 million, $6 million a year at them and
when
at him.
Yeah, when he says he wants to coach 6 more years, then it's about money.
Yeah, so then he's going to go to one of the Power 5 conferences then. He has to.
Again, I think about this. So, Justin Verlander came to the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Kane wanted to come to the Rangers, so he's here now.
Yeah.
You have 2 first ballot, bona fide Hall of Famers, 2 of the greatest that have ever played their positions playing for New York teams. Hopefully Brett Favre is going to want to do that for the Jets.
Well, Aaron Rodgers,
I keep saying Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers is going to do that for the Jets, which I do believe is going to happen. And the other thing would be Rick Pitino staying and taking St. John's to another level.
Yeah.
Think about that.
But can you put St. John's in that same conversation as pro teams
not?
around here?
Why not?
I'll tell you why. Because they've got a history of not spending enough money to get things done. I mean, that's why. I mean, Steve Cohen's going to get it done. Woody Johnson said we're spending money. We're going to get this done.
And by the way, Woody Johnson is spending money, so Jeff fans understand this. Anytime these teams convert these contracts to signing bonuses to reduce the salary cap, those checks get written immediately. Yeah. So that's the owner putting his money up and saying, here, we're giving 3 guys not new contracts, revised contracts, but they're going to be in the form of signing bonuses to reduce the salary cap hit so we can absorb some new salary. Now, they signed Quincy Williams.
Yep.
So that was a good signing. I still think that they're going to get rid of Corey Davis. Like I was telling you the last couple of weeks, that they still have there's a lot of machinations to go through within their own contracts and their own players. And you saw what Deron Payne got for Washington.
Yes.
So now we know what Quentin Williams is going to get. He's going to get more than that.
Yeah, well, Deron Payne's now the second highest paid defensive tackle in football to Aaron Donald.
He'll be third.
Yeah, because
Quentin Williams gets his deal.
Right.
And, and then there will be other deals that are coming. The Joe Burrow deal is going to be coming. The Justin Herbert deal is going to be coming.
Jalen Hurts.
The Jalen Hurts deal is going to be coming, and it's going to be huge. And we're still not really sure where Lamar Jackson's headed. But, I still think that if you had Rick Pitino coming to St. John's, that's Verlander. Well, it's even more so than that because Rick's from here.
Yeah.
He's a lifelong New Yorker. And he is so set up perfectly. Not making a lot of money, but good money. And he's winning, and he has a chance of pulling an upset. You never know.
Yeah. If he really wants to think about legacy after things that happened in his past, there's one thing that I think could wash away all of that, and that's legitimately winning at St. John's. So if he's going to go for the dollars, which I can't blame anybody for going for the dollars unless you're going to live, but if you go after the money, that's fine. If he wants to go to Texas Tech or a Power 5 conference, but if he really wants to change the whole narrative around his career, go and win at St. John's, and people forget about all that crap.
It's another weird story in college basketball. We know about the Texas Tech story and how that coach, makes just a really bad comment to one of his players, so he's out. That's why Texas Tech. But then you take a look at what Texas is doing.
Yeah.
Now, Chris Beard, he gets fired because, according to the Texas University officials, after he was arrested for domestic violence, which, by the way, all the charges were dropped.
Yeah.
He basically was unfit to coach the team. So, Rodney Terry takes over as the interim head coach there.
Yeah, now they're a 2 seed.
And now they're a 2 seed, and they win the conference.
Right. And Shaka Smart, who was there for many years and floundered, has now got Marquette as a 2 seed there in the other region. So, I mean, it's sort of funny that the whole Texas situation has been bizarre with coaches.
Right. So my warning to Rick Pitino was, if you want to go down there into that stuff, they better pay you a lot of money. And I'm sure they would, and I'm sure his agent would be all over that. And they make sure that they would support him and they would pay him a lot of money. But, man, it would be nice to see him either stay here at either one of these 2 schools.
Well, you've had a relationship with him because he's been very kind to the foundation in the past.
Very kind. He has, brother-in-law Billy Minardi passed away on 9/11. All my friends, I knew Billy. Yeah. Everybody was up there on the 105th floor. So he's one of the few celebrities that has actually come to one of my foundation events and handed me a personal check.
Wow.
Him and Troy Aikman.
Wow, those are the 2.
Yep.
And you don't forget that.
Never forget that.
Yeah, so send him a text. Feel like it has to happen. I know BT's been campaigning on Twitter every single day, and Pitino this, Pitino that. Send him a text.
It would be great. No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, come on. Got to recruit. It's
I mean,
I
think it would be great if he stays at Iona or he basically goes to St. John's. Either one.
And I saw that Speedy Claxton's name was in there. If Pitino doesn't come to St. John's, that's someone they would talk to, even though he got a big contract extension. I don't think he wants to leave there. Just yet.
Another couple years, man.
Yeah. Put him really back on the map, which he's in the process of doing.
I wonder if you think he wouldn't be a candidate for Georgetown, right?
No, I don't think so. Not
big enough. Not a big enough name for them right now.
He needs a couple more years. Here's the thing: if he had taken them to the tournament and he had won a game or gotten to the Sweet 16, then anybody would have hired him. But they just fell a little bit short. But he'll get him there.
Kind of feel like he's on the trajectory of Steve Peichel.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you think about a guy who played in the NBA that really, really helps recruiting, was on a roster with Steph Curry. You know what that means to kids these days. So if he gets that team into the tournament, it's going to be tough to keep him at Hofstra. But he's there now, and they got a matchup with Rutgers tomorrow night.
And you got to go tomorrow night.
Yeah, floor seats. Maybe I'll coach again. All right, it's Boomer and Gio on the Fan at CBS Sports Network. We got Jerry Recco and an update coming up in just a couple of minutes. We will continue to refresh Twitter all morning long to find out if Aaron Rodgers finally says yes to the Jets.